Well, for those who rely on the TTC, it isn't always the better way, especially if you have a physical disability. At a public forum tonight, hundreds of riders got a chance to make their voices heard around accessibility on the city's transit system. We spoke to some of them about their biggest issues with booking Wheel-Trans and getting around on streetcars and trains. What's the most frustrating part about using Wheel-Trans or trying to get around this city in a mobility device?
The waiting time on the telephone to book your ride.
I use Wheel-Trans and the conventional service, mainly because I get so tired of not being able to get through to Wheel-Trans. It gets very, very difficult at times.
Sometimes you get picked up, you're going a certain direction, they take you a little bit out of the way, and then they pick somebody else up, and then they go way out of the way. Sometimes you get somewhere and the elevator's out, so you got to figure out where you're going to go.
I've heard horror stories of people getting stuck in subway stations, and the elevator's not working, and they're actually stuck down there.
Having to depend on the streetcar drivers to lift my walker up onto the streetcar.
Because most of the streetcar routes are not accessible.
All right, thank you.
The TTC is planning to have... TTC says it's addressing one of its biggest complaints, which is the wait times to book Wheel-Trans over the phone. It'll be providing an automated option along with more agents. That announcement getting a big round of applause from the audience. It's also adding new minibuses meant to make the ride more comfortable, and it'll be shortening the cancellation window and reducing the penalty for riders that riders used to get when they were a no-show. Of course, not everyone with mobility issues relies on Wheel-Trans, but only half of the TTC's 69 stations are accessible, as well as just 3 streetcar routes, making it difficult for those in mobility devices to independently and directly commute. TTC Chair Andy Byford says that's why they're working on a family of services and are currently in phase 2 of 4 to get the system fully accessible by 2025.
Family of services is a more flexible way of operating Wheel-Trans that reflects the fact that we're progressively making the TTC more accessible. So given that most people with accessibility needs actually want to use the conventional service, what we should be doing is now picking people up from their home, delivering them to the nearest accessible service, be that a subway station or an accessible bus or streetcar line, taking them on that conventional service where they want to go, and then maybe picking them up again on Wheel-Trans at the end of the journey.
Now, the TTC is planning to have 3 more accessible stations by the end of this year. That'll be Coxwell, St. Clair, and Woodbine. And on the docket for next year is DuPont Station and St. Patrick Station.